Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Thank you for taking the time to come and be part of TEDxSnoIsleLibraries 2020. All around our region and state, across the country, and around the globe, people just like you and me are hungry for ideas and information. We all want to know more, to imagine, and to understand. And TEDx events are organized to provide opportunities to connect us with ideas worth spreading. The TED organization has granted a license allowing Sno-Isle libraries to independently organize this local TEDx event. Because at its core, your public library is all about providing you access to ideas and information. We've worked with some amazing individuals from our region to share some of these ideas with you. Now, the really hard work to make this happen has come from each featured speaker and all those who've worked behind the scenes. So we invite you to sit back and imagine you are sitting in the largest theater ever. In this virtual space, we are choosing to be safe, exercising our social distance, and other members of the audience are also choosing to be present. We are all expectant, ready to think deeply, and we are reimagining the quantum connections between ideas and realities. And now, on with the show.
Hello, and welcome to TEDxSnoIsleLibraries 2020. I'm your host, Phil Klein, and I'm here to share with you the voices of community members who are shaping and reshaping our world for the better. In each of our online sessions, we'll be sharing their TEDx talk and having a curated conversation to dig deeper into their ideas and into where we can go from here. With me are also a team of moderators and a co-host to provide any support we may need. If you're a new or returning attendee of TEDx in your homes or wherever you may be, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Throughout this hour, you'll be invited to ask questions, whether you're in our Zoom webinar or in Facebook Live or in YouTube Live. We have moderators there who'll be looking for your questions. We hope to get to as many of those questions as possible during the hour. We also ask that if you are inspired or if you have a comment to make, you're welcome to express that as well. So without further ado, it's time for TEDx. There are probably as many ways to see beauty as there are people who can see beauty. And whether it's beauty in themselves or in others, there is a myriad of wonder in the way we see one another. Our speaker today, Steele, has developed an even deeper and in many ways a new eye for what is beauty and for how to see it. Erica, welcome.
Thank you, Phil.
It's really great to be here with you today, and I'm so glad you were able to take the time and not only share your talk with us, but to have a conversation as well. I'm curious, what led you to feel like it was time to give this talk and that you were the one who should give it?
Well, over the years, I have noticed that we are really hard on ourselves when it comes to beauty, when it comes to our appearance. And we're so hard on ourselves that I've noticed over the years that often we refuse a compliment or we refuse to see any of our beauty at all based on the one thing that we're dissatisfied with about ourselves. And that's a terrible way to live, Phil. Not being able to see what other people see when you smile, or when they come home in the evening to greet you, that you can't see what they see. And so my goal with this talk was really to try to open up some of the way we think about beauty and to maybe encourage someone to develop a new relationship with themselves, how they see beauty interacting in their lives, and the connections that they make with others.
Well, thank you. You do lend a new set of eyes to this question and conversation about what it is to be beautiful and what it is to see beauty. So let's go ahead and roll your TEDx talk and have a look at it together.
A few years ago, I learned I had a genetic mutation that predisposed me to breast cancer. At my doctor's recommendation, I had a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy with implant reconstruction. In simpler terms, my breasts were amputated and I had implants inserted so that I could look normal again. There were two huge problems with all of this. The implants. They made it feel like my chest was tearing apart from inside with every breath I took. And I couldn't lie down flat at night to sleep because of the pain. So I slept propped up, surrounded by a pillow fortress, and it cut me off from my husband. Looking normal wasn't worth this. I wanted deconstruction. I needed to breathe and sleep comfortably. I wanted to reach across the bed to hold my husband's hand as I fell asleep at night. But my plastic surgeon was concerned. He was concerned about the impact that removing the implants, that my appearance would have on my life. It brought up a few major questions. If I was flat and scarred, would my husband still find me attractive and want to be with me? What would my family say? Would my friends still want to hang out with me, or would my new body make them uncomfortable? This choice between the implants and looking normal or being comfortable in my own body came with a potentially profound cost of connection. And this is an incredibly vulnerable position to be in. But I said yes. I had the implants removed because my health is more important than someone else's opinion about what makes me beautiful. So what does my story have to do with you? Well, changes in our appearance can be hard, regardless of what they are. They can make you question and doubt your attractiveness, or question the strength of your relationships. Maybe someone's negative comments that were said to you years ago are still stuck in your mind. So what do you do? How do you deal with physical change and still feel beautiful? Well, my goal today is big. I want to give you beauty for life. And it comes with a fairy tale, a mirror, and a little bit of magic. So let's start with what you want to get from beauty. I propose that what you hope to get is connection and relationships. You want to be someone that other people want to be with. So you do your best to be attractive and beautiful. But what does that mean? What came to your mind first? Was it your looks or was it your personality? Did you think about both? If you feel like this just became another superficial conversation about beauty, stay with me. Most of you will, when asked what beauty is, most of you will tell me that it's what's inside. You'll generously describe others as beautiful based on their personality and their actions. But you can also think of someone as unattractive based on their personality and actions. Think about the evil queen in Snow White. You meet her as the most beautiful woman in the land. But in the end, her actions are anything but beautiful. And because of that, we never think about her or describe her as beautiful. Inner beauty influences your perception of outer beauty. But let's talk about you. Things get complicated and they get messy when you start to describe yourself. And this is because you don't see your inner beauty, and it makes you a much harsher critic. It makes you a harsher critic because all you see is your physical appearance when you look in the mirror. And this inability to see your inner beauty with your outer beauty creates a double standard for you that sets you up for failure. You are human. And you were not born in a static body. To be human is to change. So you need to change the way that you look at yourself and embrace a beauty philosophy that is realistic and not what we've been doing. See, your energy and your body are a dynamic duo that make up the wholeness of your beauty. And this duo has nothing to do with perfection. Beauty has room for imperfection. The evil queen didn't have a talking mirror. She leaned into her mirror and she got lost. Her story could have been radically different if she had allowed for change with some grace. We are not wax figures. They might be perfect, but they don't have our spark. And you would never say, I want to meet up with a wax figure for a cup of coffee. My guess is that you'd much rather meet up with an imperfect friend for that cup of coffee. Why? Well, those wax figures don't offer any opportunity for connection. Relationships need energy, not perfection. And I get it. Sometimes physical change can be overwhelming. And we do have those moments. Maybe you've had one yourself where you've looked in the mirror, you've seen the changes, and you've thought, I don't look like myself anymore. So there's no point in what I do. But if you do this, you lose. Because you've forgotten that there is more to your beauty than your body or the one thing that you're dissatisfied with. Being unable to see your beauty damages your ability to believe that other people want to be with you. And that is terrifying because we need connection. This fear of being unattractive usually creates a few different reactions. We try to find a solution to whatever it is that we think is a problem. We might try to pull back from our relationships. Maybe you refuse to be in the family photo. Or you do a combination of the two. I want to share a story with you. Back in the 1960s, there was a 19-year-old actor who was starting to go bald. And he was convinced that everything in his life was over. Acting, women, everything was over. And to give you some context, this was long before the hashtag bald is beautiful. Back in the 1960s, balding was something that maybe you tried to hide. Whatever the perception was at the time, he was terrified of the change that was happening to him. And he started slouching to hide his baldness. He was ashamed. And this shame and embarrassment was killing his career as an actor because he needed to be confident and to stand up straight and to portray him. Well, luckily, he had some friends who genuinely cared about him. They cared about the potential that they saw in him. And so they staged an intervention. This intervention helped him regain his confidence, and it changed the course of his life. In the last 60 years, Sir Patrick Stewart has been knighted for his acting and gotten married. He found career success and love. We got Captain Picard and Professor X. Everybody won. It was never the baldness that would have held him back. It was shame. And I get it. Nobody wants to feel less than they were. But part of that is how you choose to think about beauty. So, how do you do this? Well, first of all, I want you to know that you have more control over how people perceive you and connect with you than you think. So in order to feel beautiful in the midst of imperfection or change, I have a secret I want to share with you. I want you to pretend that your mirror is magic and ask it to show you all of you. Step back from your mirror so that you can see the wholeness of your beauty. When you look in the mirror and you ask it to show you all of you, I want you to ask yourself, what energy do I bring into the world? How do I make others feel? What makes me me? Look for this when you look in the mirror. This will make all the difference in the world. It will allow you to see those changes that have happened, but still recognize that inner beauty as well. It allows you to be a whole person. And that is what people fall in love with. As you start doing this, you will hear voices putting you down. But those voices aren't from the mirror. That's your inner critic. So when you have bad days and that inner critic pops up, because it will, I want you to write down one thing on a note card that is beautiful about you and keep it close to your mirror. And when that bad day comes, I want you to take it out, read it, look in the mirror, and ask it to show you all of you. See your inner and outer beauty. And if someone else says something negative about you, remember that you don't have to accept everything that is given to you. You can choose to let some of it go. When I lost my breasts and my clothing didn't look the same, and I was questioning why it even mattered what I looked like or what I did anymore, I ended up finding heart. I looked in the mirror. I chose to see all of myself, and I adapted my personal style to include things that I hadn't really worn before, such as off-the-shoulder blouses. And it made it much easier to let go of the things that I loved and could no longer wear. I discovered that being flat doesn't stop me from being me. And I've become friends with my mirror. I ask it to show me all of me, and day by day, I've learned to feel beautiful and whole again, with scars and without breasts. But I had to step back and adapt. Your beauty never leaves you. You just need to learn to step back from your mirror, ask it to show you all of you, and accept what you see as beautiful. I am beautiful with my imperfections. And because I believe I'm beautiful, I can believe my husband when he walks in the door and says, "Hello, beautiful." Do you believe the people in your life who tell you that you are beautiful? Beauty doesn't lie in perfection. It lies in wholeness and a willingness to find heart when change inevitably happens. So take a step back from your mirror, be you, and be that imperfect and beautiful friend that says yes to meeting for coffee. Thank you.
Wow, Erica. Thank you for that tremendous talk. Thank you so much. You speak so many words that let us see the blindness that we can so easily have to beauty. You know, in so many ways, you're redefining what beauty is and reminding us that we don't just automatically see beauty. We actually have to intentionally see it. It's not there without our actually looking, whether it's within ourselves or at others in our lives. And it can be so hard to do. And you model the courage of seeing yourself and seeing yourself reflected in the beauties that others see in you in just tremendously inspiring ways. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, the idea of adapting to the changes in our lives is not something unique to you. You know, there are countless people, all of us, unless we want to live as if one moment of perfection that we may have had many years ago is the only moment of beauty we ever had. We need to live with the changes instead of against them. I'm wondering if you could trace with us how you learned or came to some of the insights that you shared in this talk. What was that journey of discovery like?
So my journey, I think, as most of us, it started out as a child. The experiences, the messages I received as a child surrounding beauty, and my own physical challenges. So as a child, I had severe hyperhidrosis, which meant that I have sweaty hands and feet, excessively so. And it meant that I wasn't good at PE and I didn't hold anyone's hand. And then I had adolescence and I had oily skin and I didn't know what to do with my hair and I had acne and so many of those things I think others can relate to. And so as a teenager and even into college, my outer appearance didn't match my inner vision of myself. I didn't look the way that I wanted to look. And I at the time, I had just thought, okay, well, I'm going to focus on my personality. I'm going to focus on being smart. I'm going to focus on all these other things rather than just worrying about how I looked. But that was still a source of pain for me. And it wasn't actually until I was in grad school that I had an interesting experience with a woman who taught belly dancing. And she was my first positive experience with beauty, actually. And I was attending a belly dancing class, and some of the other ladies were concerned about their size. And she stopped and said that she was going to find all of us videos of belly dancers of different sizes because she wanted us to see the grace, the strength, and the beauty that every one of them brought to the dance. And it was my first experience really purposefully looking for the beauty in others, no matter what their ability or size or anything about age. And it was an enlightening experience that I think really triggered the beginning of all of this for me, of my journey with really becoming comfortable with myself. Later on, as in my late 20s, early 30s, I started working in the beauty industry, and I ended up working for a cosmetics company, and I was doing makeup for women. And it was an experience for me because I kept having women tell me, oh, I love your look, or I love your hair. And I would think, oh my gosh, can't you see? Like I have large pores too. And I started realizing that I was being just as hard on myself as they were being hard on themselves. And I started to be gentler with my own skin. I started being gentler and more compassionate with myself because I couldn't tell them to be more compassionate if I wasn't doing that myself. And that really started everything for me. And it wasn't until really my early 30s when I heard a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that stuck in my mind. And it was, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And I realized that the more we pick ourselves apart, trying to find perfection, the more we will find to pick apart. But the more that we look at ourselves with gentleness, with love, and allow for that change with some grace, we'll find more love, more compassion. And I think that really bleeds into our relationships and the way that we connect with one another. So it was really that progression that set me up for accepting my surgery, my results, and finding a point in my life now where I still have hyperhidrosis, I still have oily skin, I still have flyaways, I still have everything plus scars, and I've never felt more beautiful in my life. And that is something that I want other people to feel too, that it's not the imperfection that we need to drive away. We need to accept it because we all have something.
So true. So many details. One thing that strikes me in what you're sharing is that your description of the belly dancing and seeing beauty, like you can't see what you're not looking for, but learning to look for beauty as a conscious act of seeing rather than just accepting what you see at face value is so much in line with your deeper understanding. And then to go into the beauty industry and to see another side of that, all of those must have been, important awakeners to being able to see beauty with imperfection. And as you approached the particular kind of changes that you faced, what was it that allowed you to dig into a deeper well, or was it a little more challenging to deal with that? I imagine that it may have been. Tell us a little bit about how you were able to face those changes and how someone who may be facing changes themselves can begin to think about that ahead of an experience.
Yeah. I think what helped me the most was allowing myself to grieve. Because when we are going through changes, there is the idea of loss there. And sometimes I think we forget to allow ourselves that opportunity to just take a moment and say, I'm never going to look that way again, or what I had hoped to come out of this may not happen. And it's okay to allow yourself to grieve. I think especially with aging, seeing those first gray hairs or those first fine lines, it's visually encountering your own sense of mortality and fragility as a human being. And I think it's okay to say, this makes me sad in this moment. But for me, it was acknowledging it and then saying, okay, well, now what am I going to do? Because I'm still here. Tomorrow is still going to come. And how do I want to live my tomorrow? Who do I want to connect with? How do I want to connect with them? And being able to see past just the physical and hold on to what it is that you want to live for. I think at the end of the day, that if I really had to choose between the physical or, inner beauty, at the end of the day, inner beauty wins without a doubt. I want to have a good relationship with myself and with other people. And I think that's what we're all hoping for, is connection. So I really think that deeper well comes from just being honest about how you feel in the moment. And acknowledging that.
So it sounds like there was a period where you had to do an honest reckoning with your own loss, to experience that grief, not in resistance to the change, but as part of the change. And then seeing your way through and with that loss to, in a way, open a door to rediscover beauty or to continue your growing awareness of beauty as your changes occurred. It sounds like, in a strange way, you can only live more the more you embrace the change, even when that means losing something.
Yes.
I'm sure many of us will face hard changes, and this is a really powerful way to hold that and to think about it. Thank you for giving that. Thinking about one's own beauty or the beauty of those around us, it's so easy to be insecure about one's looks, about one's appearance. How do you help with that sort of everyday anxiety or nervousness about looks that seems to just habitually reinsert itself?
So my first thought is to take a breath. Just pause for a moment, because usually when we start to feel insecure, we cease to be in the present moment. We start thinking about the worst case scenario that hasn't even happened yet. We start thinking, oh my gosh, I'm I'm going to bomb this presentation. You know, my hair doesn't look good. I'm going to bomb the presentation. They're not going to promote me. It's going to be terrible. You know, we start going into overdrive and we let all of those fears overwhelm us. Whereas in reality, what I've seen is that most people are so far in their own insecurities, they're actually not really seeing whatever it is that you're seeing. So taking that moment to pause and just realize that, you know, none of this has happened yet.
Yeah.
Remembering that nobody sees what you see in the same way. Reminding yourself of that, and then focusing on the interaction that you're about to engage in is the biggest thing you can do to help yourself. So rather than worrying about, you know, am I thin enough? Or, you know, is my hair right? Is my makeup right? Is my skin too oily? Whatever else. Worry about just saying hello. How was your day? And being the person that you want to be with. I think that's really the key to, at least that's how I deal with a lot of my insecurities. So hopefully that helps someone listening.
I guess we're not off the hook of having to learn our own lessons as well as benefiting from you. You know, speaking for the men in our lives, are there suggestions that you have for, you know, those of us who are men and who have women in our lives who we'd like to relate to with more wholeness? What would you suggest to men?
So first of all, my talk applies to all of you as well. I want you to remember your beauty too. And I know that that's a word that maybe men aren't really comfortable in applying to themselves, but I want you to remember this too. And when you are maybe looking at your significant other, you know, a friend, your sister, your mother, whatever, I want you to remember that they have those same feelings and insecurities that you do. None of us are static beings. We're going to change. And, you know, the women in your life, they may want to look a certain way as long as possible too. You know, we kind of, I've been married for 15 years, and, you know, we sometimes we kind of joke about, you know, oh my gosh, we're both getting older and we don't look like we used to in those pictures from 15 years ago. And I think it's key for men to remember, you know, and in a lot of ways, women as well, that whoever you're with, they're going to change. And maybe the best advice is to focus on the light in their eyes when they smile, or the sound of their voice, or how you feel when they're around you. And hold on to that. Allow physical change to happen. It's a sign of life. It's a sign that we're still alive. And when we shift the way we think about those things, it allows for a richer life experience, I think. It's something you go through together. So look in the mirror yourself and realize you're changing too. And just have some more compassion.
Thank you. Deep breath and compassion. Those are great things to have.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, and I guess maybe as well, you know, if you're a father, if you have children, remember that you are just as responsible for the messages surrounding beauty that you instill in your child as a woman is. Again, we think about beauty as being, you know, women, and it's really not. So think about how you talk about yourself, what you value, and what your children are seeing, because it's just as important as what a mother says about herself, or, you know, things like that. So just remember that you're equally important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to turn to some of the questions that we're getting. Thank you
Sure.
for those that have been sent. Ken on Facebook asks, was struck by the comment about the plastic surgeon not being supportive initially.
Oh.
Do you have any thoughts about the power that we give others over ourselves, and how that can define our self-acceptance, or how we push against that?
Yes. So, you know, when my plastic surgeon, told me that I would be deformed and unattractive, I will say that I did internalize that for a while. Just as if anyone else tells you something, negative, you do all of a sudden for a moment, kind of take that and think, oh my gosh. But I realized that I am not one part of my body. You are not one part of your body. You are not one moment in your life. And I think realizing that you, like I said in my talk, you don't have to accept everything that is given to you. Realizing that you have more power over those things. Not to say that they don't hurt, but that you don't have to carry them with you, and you choose. I choose to see my own beauty. You can too.
That's powerful. And I'm seeing that a lot of the questions are things you've already touched on a little bit, but let me cover a couple of the items. We have an example of models from the Gap where the models are flat-chested, and those are often really beautiful as well. It's actually part of a paragon of beauty as well. And so hopefully that is broadening as well. Also, how can we change culture to include men and children as beautiful, not limit the range that we see men to being handsome, or for children cute, perhaps? And do you think we can be more open about words like beautiful for men? I can't even say.
I think so. I think it starts in ways that maybe we talk about actions too. Your actions can be beautiful. It's becoming more comfortable with that, and that's hard, because I think that, it does take time for language, for the meanings behind language and words to change. But being willing, especially with children, just to tell a boy, what you did was beautiful. There's no reason that an action can't be beautiful, that it has to be gender specific. And I think that can extend to the physical as well, seeing them as a whole person. And that's where, I did, and Phil, you and I had talked about this earlier this year, with the idea of men feeling included in this talk, because I really wanted them to equally feel included in being beautiful. But it is hard for us to include men on that word. But that's something I would like to change in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard to change the conversation, right? We're used to saying certain things in certain ways. We're used to certain kind of practices and habits and stereotypes. There's a great question from Casey Fisher on YouTube, who asks, how would you like to change the perception of beauty for the next generation?
Oh, I would really love to see children see the value in people as a whole. Like I said, with the belly dancing, not just judging or making assumptions, but really being taught to see the light in someone's eyes and see how their whole face changes, or their body expressions change, and see them, to see their own wholeness as well. And for the next generation, I really think that ends up starting in the home, about how we talk about ourselves. how we treat ourselves, because it's not just about the images that we see. It's about how we treat them. It's about how we talk about them, how we relate to them.
Yeah,
And so, yeah.
There's so much to that. I mean, trying to see beauty all the way from the outside, all the way in, and from the all the way inside, all the way out, as one kind of unified, connected sense of wholeness.
Yes.
I think that's challenging, right? It's so easy to just, I just want to see this superficial, quick to see soundbite. We have someone else who asks from Facebook, how would you encourage someone who has given up on their outer beauty? How do they, kind of re-engage that sense of seeing their own outer beauty, especially if they have a great personality, is added in the question.
So
that's that's a clue to the answer right there.
Yes. So, if you have to start writing that one thing that is beautiful about you, it can definitely be something about your personality, because it is okay to look in the mirror and say, I have a great personality, or I have a great sense of humor, or I make people laugh, or, starting there. But I actually kind of want to go over to a business term, looking at a SWOT analysis at your strengths and weaknesses in terms of starting over to looking at your physical beauty. So I really encourage people to look for your strengths. And not for your weaknesses. It doesn't mean that you have to completely not see them and ignore them. But what it means is that you look at your strengths instead. So if you've ever been told, you have great eyes, you know what? Start with your eyes, if nothing else. Look at your eyes for a moment, because that is the window to the soul, right? And that's where when we want to engage with someone, we look into their eyes. Look into your own eyes, see what you see there. Try smiling, and see how your eyes change. Look for that little light that happens. Start looking for your strengths, or maybe you have great shoulders. I don't know, it could be great kneecaps. Find something. It doesn't have to be obvious or what everybody else likes. It can be what you like, and it can be something very, very small, but starting with your strengths and shifting the way that you think about that. Enhance your strengths. Don't waste all your time on the weaknesses. Focus on those strengths. So for example, in my own case, like I said before, I've always had, a difficult relationship with my skin. But with the eyes, I thought, okay, the eyes are the window to the soul. And so I started focusing on playing with makeup around my eyes. And I have fun with false eyelashes and things like that. And that sounds silly, but it allows me to have fun. And I think that right there is the important part, because when I'm having fun getting ready in the morning, it boosts my entire day. So for you, if you've lost that sense of beauty for yourself, there is more than one thing, I promise you. Find one thing for yourself and start there. And let it grow, let it bloom. And it might surprise you in unexpected ways.
I really value how much you're able to make room for just all the dimensions of experience, right? From a playful attitude to a willingness to grieve to a strong sense of wholeness around your imperfections. All of these things, I don't know if you're holding them simultaneously, but it just seems like an amazing balancing act that I think, really we can all see a lot better when we're able to do some of that ourselves. Let me see if, there's another question. If you work with women who are in a situation of being pre-vivors, who are pre-mastectomy, as well as post-mastectomy, and what would you say is important for them to know about beginning and going through that journey?
Um, what I what I would say is that experience is going to be different for every woman. You might have time to prepare yourself and think you're prepared. In the case of, a pre-vivor, maybe having more time to make the decision and have more time for research and everything else. But when you get there, you may find something completely different. And for someone who is a survivor, and may have been surprised completely, didn't really have the choice to have a mastectomy. You're dealing with a completely different set of emotions. So what I would say in all of this is try not to make assumptions about how you're going to feel about the way you look or how you're going to physically feel. Because when we make those assumptions, we set ourselves up for a lot more disappointment, I think, in some ways than we need. I would say that we need to allow yourself time to adjust. It is hard. I really felt prepared for my surgeries and for losing my breast. And it shocked me at how unprepared I actually was. And it took me about a year, honestly, to genuinely adjust to being comfortable with what I saw in the mirror. And I think that a lot of, everyone, again, adjusted at a different pace. But don't go into your closet and throw everything away. You're going to find things that as you adjust, that if you try it on the day after your surgery, you might think it's terrible. But a year later, you might feel amazing in it. And it's not that the outfit changed, it's that your perception and acceptance is what changed. So allow yourself time, is what I would really say.
It's a little like you're asking to or inviting us to see with our eyes instead of our assumptions. And the way you described seeing beauty, whether it's in belly dancers or just in seeing a lot of different people with different bodies and finding the beauty by looking for it and seeing it, is something that kind of creates a kind of resilience already, so that when there's change, it's not, while it may be different from what you expect, it is still, within the realm. And then giving yourself that compassion and the time that you may need can also help. Is that about?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I was going to add. I think it's also helpful, and this is not just for women that have had a mastectomy, but any change that you might be going through. Find photos, look for other people that are going through the same thing, because it's amazing how much it will normalize whatever it is that you're experiencing when you realize that you're not the only one going through this. I know that for me, I still feel very blessed that so many other women are willing to share their photos of their mastectomy results, because it really helped me to not set unrealistic expectations in my own mind of what my results might be. And I think that was part of what helped me accept my own body more, was seeing what other women had gone through before me. I think the same thing is that of looking at, other ladies, with the belly dancing example, seeing all different body sizes made me feel more comfortable with my own, made the other ladies feel more comfortable with wherever they were. And I think that's true for us as humans, that what we look at the most is what becomes normal for us. So.
Wow. So I feel like you're setting a little bit of almost a daunting invitation, which is to embrace changes that we can't predict, and to have a willingness to see that can see even past our own ability to see, towards how we can kind of integrate and stay whole even when parts of us change in very significant ways.
going back to one of the questions earlier, going for the next generation, I think one of the biggest things that we could actually do, or the beauty industry could do in some ways, is start showing more photos, more advertising of people of different ages, different abilities, genders, races, just show us as humanity, as what we are, because we are beautiful, every single one of us. And there's something that is in all of us. Show it. And I just don't feel that there's any reason for any of us to feel ashamed in how we are on this earth. I think that's the biggest thing we could do for the next generation in terms of beauty.
Wow. So,
and that is daunting.
Yeah, no, it's a world where there's less shame and where we can see beauty when it's right in front of us rather than hiding or being blind to it. So many people are commenting how much they value and appreciate the connection that you're creating in this way, and for your story and for sharing all the things you've been sharing. Lots of support. And someone was asking about for teenagers, do you have any ideas about the tendency that teenagers have to compare one another, themselves to other people, and how they can kind of navigate that a little bit more successfully, or beautifully?
Yeah, and that's such a tough age. And even as adults, I wish I could say that we grow out of it, but I've seen, in so many cases we still play the comparison game. I think the thing there is, for a teenager, is to really, I think it's even more important to honor that idea of wholeness, to see what they have and to understand that their body is changing. Like, they are not going to be wherever they're at forever. And finding those ways where they can have fun with who they are and finding creativity is huge. Maybe there's nothing you can do about your height, but there is something you can do about, maybe you have bold colors. Maybe you have a bold personality. Have fun then. Wear a neon colored shirt. I know that sounds super simple, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Find those small things that you can start with and realize that, I think as a teenager, the biggest thing to realize is that change is on your side in this case. We will grow out of certain things. And just, when you do have those moments of insecurity, just, again, remember, take that breath and realize that whatever it is that you're afraid of, it hasn't happened yet. And to look for the way that you can connect, rather than allowing those fears and to cut you off, to hold back. Because people want to be with you. They want to see all of you. And I think really that's at the heart of it.
Yes, and it's easy to be sidetracked by superficial details, but there's so much more to connect to when we're available and when we can let ourselves see that as well. We're getting close to the top of the hour, so I'm curious, what would you like to leave us with as you sort of wrap up all that you've shared? There's just so much to it. Is there an invitation that you want to offer, or a call to action?
I really, tonight, whatever you're doing, before you go to bed, I really do want you to take a moment to look at yourself in the mirror and try to see everything that everyone else sees about you. See yourself as a whole person. Think about all the moments where you've made somebody else laugh, where you've brought joy to their day. And wake up tomorrow with the desire to be you. I know that's hard to do in some ways, but if you can just be you, it will make the world a better place. And that's all we need is you. We don't need perfection. We need you as you are. So that's really, I think, the thought I want to leave you with, is that you're beautiful just the way you are.
Thank you so much, Erica. This has been a deep and wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for staying with us throughout, and just for your wonderful, steadfast, friendly, warm openness, willing to be everything from playful to grieving to seeing forward and being your beautiful self. Thank you so much. We'll be returning again with another TEDx Sno-Isle Libraries in the coming days. So please do check snoisle.org/TEDx for our upcoming episodes. Thank you to our partners and to our production team. Thank you again.
TEDx Sno-Isle Libraries 2020 has been made possible through the generous support of corporate and community-based organizations who believe in the power of ideas and information. We'd like to thank these organizations for partnering with us. Coastal Community Bank, serving the financial needs of customers throughout Western Washington. Coastal Community Bank, where community is not just their middle name, it's how they do business. Community Transit of Snohomish County, providing public transportation alternatives and solutions which help people get from where they are to where they want to be. Overdrive, always innovating to help libraries transform by providing digital content such as ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, and video for public libraries. Washington Energy Services, providing heating, cooling, and other service solutions to help Puget Sound residents save energy and live better. And our founding partner, the Sno-Isle Libraries Foundation, committed to mobilizing people and resources to expand the reach of Sno-Isle Library services, promote civic engagement, and foster a lifetime of learning.